Hello friends, yesterday someone sent me links in my Telegram bot to the TikTok account of Artem Dmytruk, who was recently sanctioned by Zelensky. I went in and watched the last 3 videos and I want to discuss these videos with you. Why? Because much to my regret, I am promoting libertarianism in Ukraine and I am in opposition to Zelensky. For some reason, people often mention my name along with, for example, Dmytruk, and with other people with whom I have nothing in common. And moreover, I have completely different ideologies from them and do completely different things. Let's quickly analyze Dmytruk's video so you can understand what's happening. It's not for the faint of heart. Let's begin.
Dear colleagues, dear participants, I am glad to welcome everyone to this event. First of all, of course, I would like to express my gratitude to the President of Belarus, Alexander Grigorievich Lukashenko, and to the Belarusian people for their hospitality and for the opportunity to organize this round table. Also, of course, I thank Alexander Grigorievich for his ongoing work for the benefit of peace. I believe that the best thing that could have happened in the negotiation process between Ukraine and Russia was the participation of Alexander Grigorievich, his sincere and genuine desire to achieve peace in my country.
We should have said thank you, Alexander Grigorievich, for allowing Putin to use Belarus as a training ground for exercises and then subsequently as a staging ground for the attack on Ukraine.
I would also like to express my gratitude to the State Secretary of the Union State, academician Sergei Yurievich Glaziev, and to the co-chairs of the People's Unity Club, Nikolai Yanovich Azarov and Alexander Yurievich Kazakov.
And here it was a complete disaster. He's thanking Azarov. He should have thanked Yanukovych, he should have thanked Putin, and he could have even said thank you for attacking Ukraine. You see, everything is revealed. Even when the Zelensky regime targets me or my family, I don't need support from people like that. Because you see, if someone not out of malice, I don't know why, puts my last name next to Dmytruk's, then I end up looking a bit tainted. People need to think before responding, which is why I feel compelled to record a video like this. Honestly, I'm outraged. How can someone be so blatant? I guess these sanctions just opened everything at once.
And to everyone who works for the good of our common goal. It is a great honor and responsibility for me to be here today, even if it's forced in this video format.
Look, now you'll keep listening, and if you were paying close attention and watching Dmytruk, you should even pay attention to the manner of presenting the video. Here I am recording videos, I am recording streams. I've never used a teleprompter in my life, and honestly, it's not even shameful to record using a teleprompter. With people like Dmytruk, it shows he lacks original thoughts. They wrote this text for him where every other word he has to praise Lukashenko and thank him. For some reason, it's happening right now, and in this format, I think it's just technology being played out. Now I'll explain my point. This isn't just about me.
Here, in June 1941, our grandfathers' and great-grandfathers' blood was first spilled.
That's just so you don't get tired.
But we are the descendants of those who stood shoulder to shoulder in 1941. Russians, Belarusians, Ukrainians, Cossacks, Armenians, Tatars, and others. The united Soviet people stood up to the evil of that time, and today we are obliged to preserve this historical and spiritual unity for the sake of life. The unity of Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus is not an idea of the past, but a condition of the present and the future.
Why did you say not ideas of the past? We need to speak directly about this technology that Artem Dmytruk is using. They want to reunite the Soviet Union, which means this goal completely coincides with Putin's goal. And it's doubly offensive to me because, I promote libertarianism. I propose an alliance with the United States, Israel, Argentina, and other free countries, but mainly with the United States. We're just on completely opposite sides here. And at a time when Putin is launching missiles, killing our people, killing our children, one bloody dictator attacked another bloody dictator, as it turned out. And they come out and say that we should unite as one. With whom? With those who came to kill, or with whom exactly? I'm advocating for peace. Negotiations and compromise are necessary even if we don't want them because they're inevitable. We need to stop the war. We can't win. Right now, this is just a war for Zelensky's power, but an alliance with Russia and Belarus. So they want to take us back to the era of artificial intelligence. I posted it for you. Subscribe to the Telegram channel. Elon Musk launched the Tesla robotaxi, a driverless taxi, yesterday in Austin, Texas, where he lives. Specifically, this is no longer the future. It's already working today. And they're telling us to reunite the Soviet Union with a raw material country, essentially a terrorist one, that attacked us, and its vassal country led by Lukashenko. I have nothing personal against Lukashenko. It's just that I have a completely different ideology from him. Do you understand what the main point is? You don't even need to look at people. I always urge you, when you talk about politics, get involved or vote. You don't need to look at and choose a person. Broad-shouldered, handsome, calm, just as people here like, educated, as they say. But you need to focus on ideas, not people for the first time. Dmytruk's idea is to revive the Soviet Union in a new form.
As a citizen of Ukraine, as a member of the Ukrainian parliament, I am convinced that very soon the day will come when I will proudly, responsibly, and with authority say that Ukraine is part of a great, strong, true brotherly union of Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine.
You seriously mention my last name with this crap? The performance, teleprompter, breathiness, and solemn voice. Union with Russia, with Belarus. You, damn it, saw just yesterday that people died in Kiev. You saw that and you're suggesting a union with Russia. I wanted to say this after the video, but I'll say it now and get ahead of myself. I'm against sanctions on Dmytruk. I'm against the fact that he was tortured by the special services. I'm against any kind of oppression against him. You know what I'm for? I want to defeat someone like Dmytruk politically in a discussion, in proposing the future of Ukraine, in proposing reforms, in proposing a concept. But the authorities are weak, they're disgraceful, and have nothing to offer. They're even afraid of someone like Dmytruk. Tell me, after everything, even after what I told you today, what sane person in the center of Europe, that is in Ukraine, let alone after such a bloody war, would fall for such blatant nonsense? So you're afraid of losing to this Soviet-style ideology when they have nothing to offer people except a czar with a whip and a pension that's $50 higher, that's it, and that's where the myth of their offer ends. And the authorities are afraid even of that. They're even losing to such nonsense, and they're forced to impose sanctions and persecute people. They're putting on this whole charade, and you need to understand that. On the contrary, you need to look at what kind of crap, what kind of nonsense this is, and tell people about it. Only city lunatics might like this. And maybe there's 1% of completely brainwashed people left from the Soviet Union, from the very old generation. They'll enjoy this dumb video, Dmytruk and his kind, and that's all. In a year or two, this will all be gone naturally. Again, stop mentioning my last name with those characters.
The union of the three brotherly peoples is not a theory, it's a necessity. It's not a political project, it's a matter of life and death.
Does that mean you plan to fight alongside Russia and Belarus, possibly against NATO or someone else?
Now, more than ever, it's important to preserve our memory, our foundation, our core, our faith, to preserve what makes us strong and united. We need peace for the sake of our people and our future. That's why we work, that's why we fight, that's why the Lord protects our great united people. Dear participants, thank you all for your attention.
The Holy Rus, united in three, just like in that famous video by Dude, which became a meme. I want to show you a photo of Artem Dmytruk. Look at his face when he had just become a deputy of the Verkhovna Rada. Let's take a brief look back at history. Which party did he enter the Verkhovna Rada with? Zelensky's party. The Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation simply planted its own agents into this circus. In my view, how could someone with a face like that become a people's deputy of Ukraine? Others at least look more normal, but you need to check their background. In my opinion, you just brought in more agents there again. These are agents who get on your nerves. Are you afraid? I'll say it again. These are bogus. These are just bogus offers. This isn't just outdated. It's rotten, dead, and political mothballs. But you were the ones who brought them in. You were the ones who brought them in because you had no ideology. You just needed to recruit anyone by a photographer, a sports journalist, this so-called athlete. Consider where he gets his money. I've been in business for over 10 years. Where does his money come from? Check his declaration and everything published about him. He can talk about business and where he got the money. And we can understand perfectly well, but someone included him in that party. There's also Medvedchuk's godfather, the one involved with cigarette kiosks and others. Let's avoid naming anyone. Let me emphasize again, I am categorically against sanctions, repressions of any kind, including against such individuals. We can interpret him as pro-Russian, but we can't say that he himself just openly admitted all of this. There's nothing to be afraid of here. You can only laugh at it. When I watched this for the first time, honestly, I didn't even expect such stupidity and foolishness. But after 5 seconds, I understood. When I saw what he was reading and that he had practiced, they definitely needed 20 takes there. To get that breathiness, that real Soviet vibe, a specific Soviet vibe, and that religious theme. For those hearing my perspective or seeing me for the first time, I oppose halting the prosecution of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate. Prosecute those KGB priests? Yes. You don't need to shut everything down immediately as people here often do. If you can't handle something, it doesn't mean you have to close it. I've said this before. The security service of Ukraine found Russian agents in the Verkhovna Rada and elsewhere. Ukraine was full of Russian agents and probably still is, though maybe less now. Don't shut everything down blindly. There's no reason to touch religion or give up so quickly. You lost immediately when you started repressions or illegal actions. You lost right away. That's why I advocate for introducing in Ukraine a complete equivalent of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Freedom of everything, speech, religion, personal freedom, complete freedom, and only this is the future. And that's exactly what I'm proposing. And all of this should just be laughed at, turned into memes and funny clips. Lost immediately. It had barely begun and was already over, especially after all that happened. That's why friends, supporters, and subscribers were outside and above this. Join us, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and like the video. We need to promote this because there's a lot of work ahead. And people like that, along with the regime that brought them to power and gave them the mandate of a people's deputy, all of that should become a thing of the past. And we should focus on real work. Thank you for watching the video until the end. Bye.